Mr. James Scarlett. We go again.
We fucking do, mate. Yes, we do. We're 2 years old. Do you like feel in some way different, older, wiser? What's going on in your head?
No, I mean, if I feel as old as I usually feel, I suppose, but I'm not older. I mean, Kev would have been, last week's episode would have been our birthday, but I suppose we couldn't overshadow the 25 years of Big Scary Monsters. But that was a fantastic episode.
I really enjoyed it. What a lovely man Kev is. And it was nice that, because he listens to every podcast episode, I felt like he fit in probably easier than anyone. He'd like prepped and he knew what he was going to do. Do you know what I mean? He'd really thought through where he was going to go, I think, and which was obvious to us and probably to not anyone else. But yeah, it was a very smooth episode, I thought. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you'd give him an undue amount of pressure by calling him the best guest we ever had before he'd even pressed record on his microphone. But I have to say, definitely up there. It was a great pod, and it's great when you go in his conversation. Catches me off guard a wee bit when people know so much about you when you come on. You're used to having guests on, and they're a bit like, I might have heard the pod or I've heard about it, but he was a bit like, no, I know everything here, guys. No bullshitting about bands you like or don't like. So great. If you haven't listened to that one yet, there's plenty in it. It's one of those ones that just felt like there was just tons. It just had tons and tons of nuggets that he could share with us, and the gifts. We never get a chance to. I haven't even had a proper chance to speak to you about it, but the vinyl with the sleeves and that were just fucking fantastic.
Just unbelievable. I mean, I'm still totally blown away. I've got them behind me here now. It's yeah, they were great, and he was great. And I say this often when we have guests, but we have to do a part 2 at some point because we're not even close to finishing Kev's career, are we? So
I would absolutely to that, and I would very much like to Promoters One Pod and Big Scary Monsters to have more sort of, I don't know, overlap, collabs. I mean, whatever we can do to work with those guys. I love working with good people, and so hopefully that's something we can do going forward. So yes, mate, happy second birthday to you. How's life been treating you?
Good. It's we're at the sort of crossover point in festival land where I literally finished the lineup booking, and as soon as you finish it, you don't think, oh, I'll have a few weeks off. You think, oh, I better fucking start thinking about running the festival. I better start getting on with the production, and I better start booking next year's lineup. So I thought it'd be interesting to just talk to people about what I've done in the last week on production stuff, because it really shifts your brain. And so there's one biggest thing that has changed, which is the marquees at Arctangent. The main stage and the yokai stage are both bigger this year. So we had previously had a bigger main stage, and it went smaller again last year for those eagle-eyed people. It's now gone bigger again, for obvious reasons, I think, because ticket sales are flying. Yokai stage will be bigger, slightly different shape as well. And then at Trees, the new stage is different, and the Word stage is bigger. So the Word stage is bigger to accommodate the Wednesday. If you remember last year on the Wednesday, you watch a band in the forest and then you run to the Word stage and it's fucking rammed. So that's going to be bigger. So those marquee changes, what they do is they then impact everything else. So you're then like, oh, I best go and look at the decking, the stage decking, because if you've got a bigger marquee, you need bigger stage decking. It looks shit. Like if you just put in the same tent with the old stage, it will look like a little dot in the corner. So that needs thinking through and is more fiddly than you might imagine. And then the pit barrier falls out from that. How much pit barrier do you need? Bigger tent, more pit barrier. So those sort of conversations go alongside talking to the contractors about budgets, and now we're all in load-in as well. Like, so I'm talking to the marquee guy about when do you arrive on site? When do you need your telehandlers for? When do you need your generator to put up the marquees? What will the pack down look like? And all of those conversations are like, if you talked about that in December, you're just like, nah, my brain is just not, it's not having it. Whereas now it's like totally like, okay, the sun is out and it definitely feels like spring is here and summer is coming. And I really my brain is really switched into that. There aren't any major changes. So I've done like, Rob is in charge of the site plan. I always do quite a detailed review of it and send him notes. There's no major changes this year, apart from, which you'll be interested to know, Gav, that there is going to be a backstage bar at ATG this year. Have I told you that before? I can't remember.
No.
So previously, there isn't a backstage bar really, is there? There was like a part of the VIP bar was our area where we went. It will now be actually backstage. So if you remember where you were hanging out last year was the We Lost the Sea crew, it'll be somewhere in and around that area. So a bar backstage.
So backstage.
Why do you look confused?
Yeah, because I'm thinking about where because I feel like I'm about them in every area at Art Tangent. But behind what sort of the main stage or your yokai or where in the field?
Yeah, so in behind somewhere between Bixler and PX3 in the back there.
Yeah.
On the grass. You know, there's toilets there, there's dressing rooms there.
What was you thinking there? Because of the dressing rooms and that are there, it gives people a chance to go out their dressing rooms and be somewhere else with what across the fight?
I think the backstage bar ends up being used as it was last year. We called it the VVIP bar, I think. The way we used it last year was it would be like our friends and our crew, and not many bands would venture over there. It was a bit of a weird place to have it for bands. And I quite like at the end of the night being able to hang out with, I mean, as we'll talk about later, Les Claypool from Primus is my new favourite person in the fucking universe. And I quite like the idea of sharing a glass of red wine with Les Claypool in the backstage bar at Arctangent. So that's coming. That's logistically quite tricky because it changes the access control. It changes the wristbands that people have. Not for you who's got AAA, but for people that maybe could get in that bar before, but we don't want behind the stages. So that's all the consideration. I've also been I booked the caravans this week. You ghosted me on caravans, Gav. I am the one who gets the shit all the time on this podcast for not answering. And I'm going to start pushing back. Every time Rob or Kev or you doesn't answer a message from me, I'm going to push back.
There's definitely a sense of pride that I managed to become the person that you do that to everyone else. And there's also, I don't know, my life got away from me a wee bit. It was my anniversary at the start of the month, and then we never really done anything. At the weekend there, we went and went a wee bit too wild. Like, we had one child was in Portugal, one was in Brownie Camp, and another one was at a friend. And we were just like, we got a caravan down in Ayrshire, and we just kind of went there and kind of lost 2 or 3 days. So, aye.
Good work.
It was great, but at the same time, there was stuff that got lost in that mix of booze and the caravan situation. Because in my head, for Art Tangent, the dream's still the tour bus. The dream is still the bus. So I desperately want to be involved in the caravan situation, but only if the bus thing's not a goal. So that's where I...
I mean, the bus is... I'm not going to organise the bus for you because I have no experience of buses. But you should get a bus, and then we'll get a bus for a Damnation.
Right. Okay. So Tom Begley's basically that an answer to this. Unless listen, if you're a bus company, you're involved in one of these bus companies, and you're listening to this pod, reach out, give us a shout and let us know they're available. I'm looking at 2 different options. One, hiring a bus, and I'm talking about a proper tour bus that's got the beds in it, and going from Glasgow to Art Tangent and then back to Glasgow. However, it can start to get really expensive when you add on those wraparound days. The other option I'd be happy to look at as well is parking up a bus at Art Tangent and just paying the rate for the bus to be there and having somewhere to stay in it, and then us having a lounge and fridge and kitchen and all that jazz.
Mate, if you're going to do it properly, imagine how great it would be.
Mate,
bus call at 6 a.m. Saturday night, Sunday morning.
It does not insult me. I was the guy who knew how good it would be 10 years ago. I was the guy who was like, this is the way you would always want to travel and never do it. And then no one else, well, it was a handful of people, but not enough people shared the dream. And then those buses disappeared, and now you're back to the reality of tents and flights and all this. I mean, I fucking loved it. Honestly, those Art Tangents when I travelled on a tour bus to Art Tangent back were the best ever.
Great. So what you need, okay, Begley, get us a quote for a bus to Arctangent from Glasgow, and then a bus from Bristol to Damnation. And I don't think you can have a bus at Trees because there's nowhere to put it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Sarah will fucking kill me if I get a bus at Trees.
No buses.
You can have a caravan if you want one, but let's yeah. Anyway, so I'd love it if you had a tour bus at Arctangent. I think that would be great as long as I get a little fob. So moving back to more sensible matters.
Yep. I get excited about
it. So we got there's budget. We've got our final ATG budget meeting this week, which will just nail down this is where we are. This is what we're going to spend on stuff. Same for Trees for next week, and also next week is security planning time, and we will do a long put off pod episode about the security plan. I'll put it off because it's going to take me fucking ages to prep for. I don't want to wing a security episode. It feels like something you should do properly. So yeah, so loads of production stuff, all that shit going on. And then we've also started 2027 booking with a totally new process that I will talk about on a future episode of the pod. But yeah, there's no... I've talked about this before, but it really gets up my nose. I bumped into my neighbour yesterday and he's like, yeah, you must be starting to get a bit busy, aren't you now? Do you get busy or is it not till July? It's like, mate, why don't you fuck off? It's basically like, it's a fucking year-round thing. I haven't got my little violin out. I'm glad I'm not an auditor, but it's busy. Like, there's no break. I'm already thinking about 2027. So yeah, that's what I've been doing work-wise. But I was also ill, and when I was ill, I did a shout out on the group for some documentary recommendations, and I lay on the couch and I watched some documentaries and I seen some absolute beauty. So I'm not going to go into this in too much depth, but I've watched 4 that are all brilliant. So here you go in no particular order. The first one is the Primus Interstellar Drum Derby, which is Primus needed a drummer. They did a 12-part YouTube series auditioning like 9 or 10 drummers and then having a final at the end and then choosing a new drummer. Some known drummers like the ex-Mars Volta drummer versus some absolute unknown drummers. It's brilliant. It's made me love Primus so much more. It's made me... I want to hold Les Claypool and I want to drink a glass of wine with him and I want to be his best friend forever. I think the documentary, even if you're not a musician, Gav, I think, might have watched it, or watched one episode, so he's probably going to shoot me down in a second. I think is really interesting to watch how bands work behind the scenes and how amazing some of these players are and just how they're so fucking normal and cool. Not cool, but they're uncool, but cool at the same time. I love it. If you come into Arctangent, you have to watch the Primus Interstellar Drum Derby.
Okay, so because I've never been sent more homework for an episode of this in my entire fucking life. I get sent a Primus documentary to watch, and I get sent a bunch of bands this morning. I mean, at 10:30, we're coming to do this at noon, and I've still got a 20-minute or 25-minute Primus thing to watch, which I got round to. So I've got like less than an hour left to check out 4 or 5 new bands you want an opinion. I'm like, fuck's sake, James, talking about a wee bit of notice. But the Primus episode, well, that was random as fuck, because you just dropped me in at episode 5 in a 12-part series, and then I'm watching it and it's like, right, okay, there's a wee guy here getting clearly a talented drummer auditioning for this band, and they all seem like very healthy, funny guys that you like to be in a room with and enjoy it. I mean, I get that vibe entirely, but still the awkwardness of the human interaction of any job interview in the world, never mind. I mean, the 27-year-old who was coming to do the drums, it's clearly at that whole moment, you're trying not to be starstruck, you're trying to get a fucking job as a drummer as Primus. And Primus try to not be arrogant cocks about it either, so there's just kind of that awkward, like, chat that you do in job interviews. And fucking, I've went through plenty of them myself. And at the end, I was like, why episode 5? This better be the wee guy to get the job. Because if it's no, I'm like, I just watched this random fucking section of a documentary.
I just thought that was a good one. But it's not he's not the guy who gets the job. I thought it was asking a lot to get you to watch all 12 episodes. But I do know people, my brother included, who really have loved it. I really fucking enjoyed it. Are you more on the side of like, what the fuck am I doing here watching this?
Definitely, oh, what the fuck am I here doing watching this? But given me, like, at one point, this is how little I know about Primus. Do you know the only thing I know about Primus? The guy's name, Les Claypool, and it's bass driven. That's my two nuggets of information about Primus. So I googled, do Primus have vocals? And turns out they do have vocals. So I was interested, I'm interested in Primus for the novel factor of something new and fresh for me, for the excitement, the buzz around them that they've caused. I'm sure we'll go into I think there's a question later about Primus, and then they've went and sold at the Manchester shows, the Glasgow shows that have been announced, and there's a real. You're going to see something that's the stuff of legend, the stuff of folklore. So I am in. I'm excited about it. But at the same time, when I was watching, I was like, this probably suits the Primus bubble or space quite accurately. It is a bit fucking, what the fuck am I watching here? But it sounds a wee bit like what the Primus are all about.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's a real joy to watch, actually. And you don't need to be a Primus fan, but if you are coming to Arctangent, it would improve your vibe, I think. And on that note, if you're coming to 2000 Trees, there is a documentary which I didn't know existed until someone on the Two Promoters One Pod Facebook group mentioned it, about the band Cosmic Psychos. It's called Blokes You Can Trust. Now, it's weird, right? I booked this band twice, including this year, and I know nothing about them, it turns out. And this documentary is awesome. And this is like, you can watch this a bit like you could watch some kind of monster without liking Metallica, and it would be an interesting documentary. This is like that. It's a story about a band from Australia that come from the fucking proper outback. I mean, anyone who's been to Australia will know that you can drive for 15 hours and not fucking see anyone. And this guy lives out in the absolute arsehole end of nowhere on a farm, and he started a band. And somehow in the 90s, this band got hype alongside, like, they're like mates with Eddie Vedder and Buzz from the Melvins, and there's all these famous talking heads on it, talking about this fucking random punk band from Australia. They were recorded by Steve Albini at the same time as he was recording Nirvana's Nevermind. And they were just this band. They never got huge, but they're still going now. Can you imagine how old they are now? You know, they're older than us. I guess they're in their 50s. And they're just fucking still just giving it the beans. But it's a story about people and like relationships and being how weird it is to be a band from the middle of nowhere in Australia and then just be in LA and everyone wants to talk to you. And it's just a really quite heartwarming, lovely documentary called Blokes You Can Trust. I would 1000% recommend it. And I will be watching Cosmic Psychos much more interested than I was previously.
And where you've booked Cosmic Psychos for what, Trees?
Yeah, so do you know what happened is the Chats played Trees a couple of years ago. And the agent said to me, it's the same management as the Chats. Can you get a slot for Cosmic Psychos? And I listened to it and I was like, yeah, this sounds like it would work really well at Trees. And I booked them. And it just happens that they're back in Europe again this summer. And he'd mentioned it. And I was like, yeah, I love them back. So yeah, that was all I know about. Because sometimes you book bands where just going, I like the sound of that. It fits.
In fact, in my experience, that's exclusively. I mean, I know so little about, unless there's a tale that somebody sat and told me around a campfire or whatever. I'm like, I don't really know anything about the backdrop or backstory of these bands or who's in the band or anything about them. It's just like, that's incredible music, and I want to see that at Damnation. So I can see why you wouldn't know the backstory of a band called Cosmic Psychos.
Yeah, but they're proper. They're also proper Australian lads. Do you know what I mean? They're like, the Aussies have a certain way about them. I mean, Matt, there's a scene with Eddie Vedder walking around with a coin trying to stick a coin in his butt cheeks. It's proper like lads on tour, fucking like, we're all drunk and, you know, it's weird. I like it. So watch it. I should be a film reviewer, shouldn't I? I mean, this is clearly my next career. This is such a smooth review that was. So I'll go quick on these final two. So these documentaries are much hyped. Lots of people have told me you must watch these. The first one is Dig, which is a documentary about the sort of friendship and rivalry between the Brian Jonestown Massacre and the Dandy Warhols. Neither band have I ever listened to. I do remember the Dandy Warhols. from the 90s, because they had that Heroin Is So Passé hit and one other hit, which I forget now. It's fascinating. It's fucking dark. It's hilarious. It's terrifying. It's like really off the wall. They go to some fucking mad dark places. It's just like them on tour, and particularly the main guy for the Brian Jonestown Massacre is fucking out there.
So those two are touring together, but have a bit of space between them. Is that what you're saying?
It starts with them together, and then they go on these different paths where the Dandy Warhols get successful and the Brian Jonestown Massacre. They're like, there's stuff where like they have fucking full on fights on stage. They're like beating the fuck out of each other, and the crowd are just stood there being like, what the fuck's going on here? And so they're like, the Brian Jonestown Massacre are right on the edge of like, the wheels are always just about to come off the train.
Yeah.
And they do come off quite a lot. And it's, so many people have recommended it, not least James Spence from Roller Tomasi, and it's worth it.
Yeah.
I've got no investment in either band.
Yeah, Dig is one of those ones that you hear every time someone talks about music documentaries, and the other one is Mistaken for Strangers.
Yeah, which you've seen, right?
Yeah, and that's the national.
We have no doubt. And we have talked about on here before. So we won't go into detail, but I loved it. It's directed by the singer's brother, and the film is supposed to be about the National, but becomes just about the brother. And it's like hilarious and very sad and absolutely brilliant. Honestly, I really mean this. All four of those, if there was something average in here, I wouldn't have talked about it. I think all four of those are fucking home run bankers. Yeah. You don't need to like any of those bands. Watch them.
I mean, Mistaken for Strangers, it's so, as you say, it's heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. Basically, the premise being that the singer's brother has never really achieved anything and watched his brother become this music icon, and then the brother, being the loving kind soul he is, takes him on tour, and the boy's just fucking utterly useless at it. He cannot take Waters to the stage. It's a bit like that bit was the tour manager screaming, if you get Tills and Waters to the stage and he's away doing his own documentary, he's like, I better go and do that, and he's running down the corridors. Just a moment of pure class. It's such a genuine, heartfelt documentary, because it's like to actually put yourself out there, to show yourself as such a incapable member of crew, and then film it and put it out there. I really enjoyed that one, and also I love the National, so there was a big help with that as well. So I would recommend that one, and I'm definitely checking out at least Dig from the rest of them, because I do love a music documentary.
You should really watch that Cosmic Psychos. Honestly, I think you'd really like it.
I will. So good, mate. Good. Is that what you've done with yourself? Fall ill and watch documentaries? Yeah,
basically. That's it. So yeah, tell me. Waffle at me. What have you been up to?
The difference. I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders in terms of the Damnation bookings, because obviously I've had a bit of a struggle this year with the headliners. Then we had one headliner that looked like it was going to be cast iron. Going to happen, and then sort of didn't, for reasons that have still never been explained to me, out the blue, which kind of set us back months, because we've said before, you don't go out and offer two headline bands the same slot, so you kind of know where you are roughly, and you know which one you're going to get and what one you're still sort of haggling with. And then when we lost the one we thought was definitely going to happen, about like, shit, this is not good. And we've had a lot of disappointments this year, but here we are now, confirmed. A fucking cracking headliner, never played Damnation before yesterday, which I think will go down a treat with the Damnation audience. Have a second band who could easily headline Damnation there, available, booked, they will play, and two other offers in for bands. So basically 4 bands that could technically headline Damnation, 2 of them over the line, 2 of them looking fairly promising, and we're making the decision, we're just going to go off and get all 4. We're going to take all 4. So that's where we're at the minute. But just the pressure of having 2 is a bit like, right, as off the shoulders now. You can just get these bands announced, hopefully by the end of the month, and have at least that. If you can get the 4 of them, just properly throw the kitchen sink at it, get all 4 bands, I'll be delighted. I'll be the strongest Damnation by a considerable distance, considering how stacked the lineup is already. We've got 25, 26 bands still to announce. It is going to be fantastic. So that's a good place to be for Damnation.
So we can tie you down to the end of the month. Is that what we're saying?
Aye, tie me down to the end of the month. Something by the end of the month, just to get things going again. I mean, I've said this before. I feel like we lost so much momentum. It was like, it's really disappointing that we went from that absolute rocket to the moon to then just that sort of slog through January, February. Which I don't think would have happened if we got the announcement out quicker. We'd have sold so much more tickets where the enthusiasm was there. And then, who knows, we'd fucking be closer to a sellout now than ultimately, I'm still great. The reason we can go for 4 of these bands as well is because the pre-sales are so strong. Because you've done more than half your tickets, you've got to, it's not just gambling at this point. You're like, okay, it would really need to, the wheels would really need to come off for reasons that wouldn't be clear to me just now for this not to go well. So that's why we can put ourselves in a position of, why don't we just showboat a little bit and get all 4 if we can get them. So that's that. In terms of your booking, the way you're saying about it, as soon as we're done with this, as soon as the final bands are locked in, I am getting into 2027. So as of March, April 2026, I will be trying to book 2027's lineup, because see this now, I had a chat with the agent of the band I booked last night, and I just asked him, how's things going? He goes, fucking ridiculous. He says, the way the agents look at it is we're working across 5 different periods. And
yeah,
he said, just try to keep your head of what's going where and what year, and the bands that are doing the one-offs like that we've offered for, or the bands that are touring. And he says, what you've got is a situation where you might just be getting stuff tied up for maybe a Christmas show in 2026 or some sort of winter show in 2026. And all the summer festivals now, they'll want their lineup to be announced at their festival for 2027. So they're giving you like deadlines of, tell me about what's happening with this band that are pretty slow at getting back to you. And we need to know in the next 2 weeks. That's your deadline for August 2027. You know, it's like,
yeah,
it's fucking incredible. Across Europe, I mean, a lot of these agents that we deal with do it everywhere outside America. So you're getting festivals in, I don't know, Australia or Japan telling you they want this band for Switzerland confirmed in 2 weeks' time for September, August 2027. And in our heads, I think we can think that it's the agents that are causing this problem. But they've got the agents there that are sitting going, well, we would prefer not to all this. It's the promoters that are, then it's probably in that only vicious circle of everyone chasing each other's tail and then not realising that it does. Do we need to be looking at tours going into 2028 if you're not Metallica or Red Hot Chili Peppers? Is it really, does it need to be done now? Why did it change so much during COVID? Why? I get it that people are trying to find something to do, but why did we just stick in that routine? Because it's, and here I am, as I'm saying, I would rather not work that way. That's the way I'm going to, as soon as I finish this, I'm going to do it, because I want all these announcements, I want all these bands lined up now so we can get to Damnation, and I don't have what I had this year that I hope to announce bands by November, and I couldn't get them out to the middle of January, which wasn't it. So I'm changing the way that we're going to approach Damnation 2027, which is going to be frustrating, because I'm going to be looking at budget sheets for 2026 and where we are, and at the exact same time I'm effectively going to be tuned into whatever those margins are for a 2027 festival. There's not even going to be in sale for another fucking 8 months, 9 months. So aye, good news, got some bands. Bad news, it's a frustrating way to work.
I mean, you're part of the problem, aren't you? Because the problem is you only need one festival to go and then one other festival to follow them. And then eventually I follow and you follow, and then we're all fucking doing it. And it just gets earlier and earlier. I mean, I'm waiting for the festivals to start announcing lineups before the festival's taken place. It's like for next year before. But it is getting harder. Like I've said this before, but I get Facebook memories come up of like, on this date, you announced 3 bands. And now I've got 150 out there. It's like, in the last 10 years, the amount of bands you've got to have out in the public by February the 1st for a summer festival is ridiculous how it's changed.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, would I rather have Trees 2024, where I've got 5 headliners lined up early, or Arctangent this year, I have 3 headliners pretty early, or would I rather be still mucking about with it at the end of February? Clearly you want it earlier, but it's hard, man. It's competitive, and yeah, every agent I speak to hates it.
Yeah.
They're like, they just do not, none of them are happy.
That seems to
Because
be
they
the
don't
big...
want to be
No,
working
I'm
across.
shocked about it because I remember when it was first happening, I remember talking to a pal, Tom Taff, when the Pallbearer and Elder tour was getting rerouted for the 7th time, and it was just like starting to work into the distance when we're still in COVID, and he'd worked on this continuously, and I could hear it in his... just the frustration in his voice of how much work these agents had put into all these tours that just, we were kept getting told in 3 months' time everything would be okay, and then we're getting back to it like 24 months later. But for whatever reason, I suppose it was the problem with the promoter and I just blame Hellfest. I just go, Hellfest sell it, so they just had it all in place and they didn't have to work like everyone else worked. So they announced it, and then every major festival needs to be like, well, if Hellfest are announcing it, we need to get out before Download or Vacuum or whatever, these ones, and then that just filters down to the next level of festival, filters down to the next level of festival where Damnation is, and then you're a bit like, right, okay, if these bands have all, their periods have all been booked up, or when they're going to do these tours, which makes them no longer available for Damnation, because there was 18 months forward planning for this, then even bands that cost you a couple of grand are getting tied into like massive schedules that you're just like, it's not going to work for Damnation. Like, fuck me. So, as you say, we are now, I'm effectively saying I'm becoming part of the problem, and because it's otherwise I'm not just, it's getting embarrassing as well. Sometimes you're speaking to agents and you put the offer in and they just automatically assume it's for November 2027. Sounds stupid to them that you're making an offer for now what will be November 2026. Like, no mate, that entire period's been locked up for best part of a year. And you're like, okay, yep, fair enough. If that's the way you need to do business, then I suppose that's the way we're going to need to do business. So that's where I'm with that. In terms of, I think his Kev was the guest after we'd made our latest announcement. So the bands added to Damnation that I never spoke about in here were Carbomb, Mole, and Machuca. I want to say something about, but first off, Carbomb, very ATG-centric band, went down well last year. Delighted to have them on the lineup. And Mole was a funny one because someone posted to say, Gav kept a straight face when James announced him for Art Tangent. I wonder what was going on there. But what was going on there is they've been booked for Damnation from November, but we couldn't announce them until after they'd done their UK tour, which is pretty standard fare. And in the meantime, they obviously became available for Art Tangent. You'd approached them or them or whatever timed. And James had been in touch to say, no issues when I'm playing Art Tangent, clearly not. And then you told me when announcing the final bands for Art Tangent, and I never put 2 and 2 together. I was a bit like, I was giving that a day. So when you said, and I thought, fuck, this band's going to be in there, more are going to be in this announcement. And I've been waiting to announce it for 3 months. They're going to look like you've announced them at 6 a.m. and then I've came out at 6 p.m. and went, oh, by the way, Damnation's got them too. So it was a bit of a quirk in the way that we do things, but great to see both festivals getting such a great band.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We talk less than people would imagine. Like, you just told me who a couple of bands you booked are before we came on, but it's not like I can see your full list and you can't see my full list. And sometimes you know, and sometimes you don't do. And I didn't actually know you'd been waiting to announce Mole or any of that. That was not a thing I was thinking about. And to be honest, sometimes I even compete with myself. Like I'll have a Bristol show on sale and then you'll announce a band like Witch Fever and you're like, maybe I should have not announced that when I've got a fucking show coming up in Bristol. But yeah, there's so many fucking moving parts on there.
Some of them are just a sort of celebration of the band a bit, and I quite like that idea that it get announced both days. I mean, it was that cock, you went first before me, and if you didn't know anything or didn't listen to this podcast, you give that, sure, like, oh, Gav just went in the space of 7 hours and copied James's band, but the vast majority of people kind of know what's going on behind the scenes these days. And I was like, they just came off that UK tour. Everyone's raving about them. I was excited about them being announced for Damnation. I was excited about them being announced and getting a chance to see them in a more fan-friendly atmosphere for me at Art Tangent. And you're like, good, I hope this is one of these bands. Great new record. Maybe a wee bit more accessible for people who don't just like being yelled at for the full record. And I hope these guys really kick on, and because I think they're really pretty big. They're Danish, aren't they? I think they're pretty big in Denmark. When you see the posters and that, or the shows they're playing in Denmark, they seem to be one of those bands that have been embraced by their own country.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we announcing stage stages for Damnation yet. Can I ask questions about that or not?
You could try.
We'll wear a Mole and wear a Car Bomb playing.
So
I'm asking as a fan here, not for any other reason.
Car Bomb, 100% the main stage. They'll be playing that. Mole, I think I've got a thing about the Arena 3 and the intensity of it with that type of music, that sort of post-rock, shoegaze, black gaze, post-metal, and I think pretty high up in the stage in that third arena is where my view of Mole playing in there, so that'll go down pretty well. So, aye. Looking forward.
Good, yeah, that'll be brilliant in there.
And
awesome.
Talking about what will be brilliant and probably that's it. Have you heard any Machuca yet?
No, I haven't got around to it. Don't tell John Niblock. It's Niblock, isn't it?
It's Niblock, but yeah,
he actually sent it to me, and I ignored him.
Yeah, these guys are, what the fuck, how do you describe them, man? Ukrainian DB Amun-Ra. It's just intense. I mean, I'll talk about them later. They're going to be my on the record pick for later. But if you like your music intense, and you're not going to get much more intense than Machuca. I mean, at the start I was a bit like, John, it's a bit of shout when we try to get them onto Damnation. They're not exactly the world's biggest name. There isn't really demand for it. And I listened to the first one, like, there's something special about this. Listen to it again. Fucking hell, these guys are incredible. And I was like, I need to force something in here. I need to find a home for this band. It's unreal. Turns out they were on tour with another, I forget the headline band last year, and everyone who saw them, like, they were everything you'd think. I mean, the woman, the singer, sings in their native tongue, which is Ukrainian. And it's just, there's something about it that's just pretty special. So, definitely get your ears around it. Definitely one for that tangent in future. I think that people should go and check that band out. I think it'd be nice for ourselves, and I think maybe Roadburn as well. So I checked, like, doubled they don't have like 250 or 300 monthly streams. I mean, fresh band, and then they've doubled that so far since being announced. So a lot of people are clearly going to check them out. It's just something a bit different about it. Just something about, like, we hear a lot of extreme music. They've got a way of, as I said, I mean, a Ukrainian DB Amun-Ra. There is that flavour of Amun-Ra, but at the same time as you getting absolutely battered with some sort of hardcore punk.
Amazing. I mean, I'm detecting a slight change into the waters here, mate, where I think you're a little bit more open to agents just giving you a little arm around the shoulder, couple of pints at the bar. We're mates now. Sending you a band over. I'll listen to it.
Have I become the person I said I wouldn't? Am I that easily bought? You show up in the podcast and put an arm around me? I hope not. And he put you in the spot, James. I've been messaged by the people at Ripcord, by 100-Year-Old Man, Code Speaker, Indifferent Engine, Beneath a Steel Sky, Million Moons, Helve, Civil Service, Solars and Wolves. All of them desperate to know, will the James Scarlett be in Glasgow next Saturday, the 21st, for Ripcord?
Fucking hell, is it? It's next Saturday.
Not a Saturday, but the following, the 21st. It is it, because the message that came through from them, like, did you see in the podcast, Gav, that he got a free ticket, they had free accommodation, that the podcast would cover his flight, and literally all we had to do, and I think he'd already said he booked a holiday to Thailand, so clearly his wife is placated and she's happy she's going on holiday. So all he needs to do is get like a £19 flight that he paid for the pod, go to Glasgow, enjoy a day out, listen to us, the bands that form his festival. It's a working holiday, and then fly back down. And I said, listen,
that's a long email.
I will ask him, and then they came through Instagram, it was through email. Somebody sent me a letter on the post. They're just like, is there any chance you can get James Scarlett to this event, because we all love him so much and want to play his event?
It's a strong sales pitch. I think it's unlikely, but it's a possibility.
You're such a gimp as well. It's like, why is it unlikely?
Mate, I'm clean living. I'm all zen until the summer when I'm not clean.
I mean, even more reason.
Look at me, my face is glowing. I'm so free of alcohol.
Who wants any? Well, tell you what, James, you come up here and you sit sober, right? And you
fucking no chance.
You come up with your notepad, you sit in the corner of the room, and you pick your bands for Art Tangent next year. So what can I say, guys? I have fought the good fight for you. James is a guy who likes to sit on his couch and play his records. I'll be there. You're going to have to go with the second best option. I'll be there, guys. I'll be there representing and seeing what he's all about. So we'll see. I'll keep at him.
Don't give up. Never say never.
Never say never. And last thing from me before we get into it's tree time and focus on the wonderful Trees Festival. The We Lost the Sea tour. Well, you already know it's flying. Bristol sold out. Manchester, my allocation did sell out over the weekend. I managed to claw back another 25 or 30 tickets from the allocation from the venue. Manchester's going to sell out next. There's about 30 tickets left, basically. Go and buy your tickets for Manchester. Nottingham will follow suit after that, then Glasgow, and then we're going to fill fucking London. That's the game plan. Don't mess around. We Lost the Sea, Overhead the Albatross, Dim Skewer, the best tour of 2026. I do not want to see the messages I've been seeing for Bristol. But I was waiting for payday, or I thought I could get a ticket in the door. Oh, I'm so gutted I missed it. It was fucking announced. It had been announced for a couple of months before Bristol was gone. Do not do this to me in Manchester and Glasgow and Nottingham and London. Just go buy the goddamn tickets now and come and enjoy the tour.
Do it.
James.
Absolutely.
2000 Trees. People feel that it's the neglected bigger cousin of our three festivals. I don't think so. I think we do tons on Trees when it comes about. But here's us giving that festival its flowers. So let's discuss at length all the great things about 2000 Trees.
Okay, well, I think that there is a bit of a misconception about how things work behind the scenes with festival booking and announcements. So I might just address that one more time. But has the festival been neglected on the pod? Or some people I've seen saying that we've hyped the announcements for Trees less this year. And that really just misunderstands how it all works, because we announced Neck Deep the other day and we announced them at 10 a.m. on a Thursday, and I got official confirmation about 8 p.m. on the Wednesday night, right? So you're in a nice position at the moment where you've got one or two headliners locked in and you can look at 2.5 weeks away and start planning. And sometimes you have that and sometimes you don't have that. I mean, and you just don't know. And this year with Trees, it has been, the things have gone down to the wire. And the weird thing is, if you do a band announcement at the end of January and then the end of February, or the end of October and the end of November, you really chase your tail the moment you've done that band announcement, because you wake up the morning after that with no bands booked because you've announced them all. And then the team here would be going to me, well, we've got another announcement in 4 weeks' time. Who are we going to announce? I'm like, well, we're fucking talking about, we just announced them all. So now you want another announcement. Okay. So, I think the reality is, if all 150 bands were booked by the 1st of September, they'd all be released before Christmas. They'd probably, all the big ones would come out straight away. But like our strategy is, do it around payday and get everything out that you've got. Don't sit on bands when you could be announcing them. So Trees hasn't been neglected. The other side of that is that I'm open for dropping Arctangent exclusives on the podcast. I don't really want to do that much for Trees, because I think the press is much more of a important thing for Trees. Not wanting to reignite the press debate, but the Kerangs and rock sounds giving Trees a push, I think is an important part of our announcement. And me just dropping it onto a podcast 6 hours ahead is not. It feels like it works in a niche way for Arctangent. I would love to see Gav do it at some point for Damnation, but I don't think I'm going to do it for Trees that much. So therefore, you're not talking about Trees as much on the pod necessarily, band announcements, as you would Arctangent. And we had a guest on the same week this month as the Trees announcement, and I think last month there was a guest on the Trees announcement. So it's all a bit like the timing just hasn't quite aligned. So, yeah. I mean, basically, we did an announcement, so I'm going to hype the fuck out of it now, people.
Give us it. Give us it with both barrels.
So, basically, we announced the final bands last week. Here's a podcast exclusive. There are actually 3 slots that we haven't announced yet. One of those is a really big booking. we didn't want to tell people this is the final announcement minus 3 bands. It doesn't really, that's not very press worthy. So we just said this is the final announcement, but there's one big main stage band still to come.
Okay,
who
great.
are confirmed, and you will get at the end of March. But last week we announced Saturday headliner Neck Deep, plus Sunny Day Real Estate, Mallory Knox, Delilah Bond, the Skinner Brothers, St. Agnes, Alt Black Era, Cosmic Psychos, Higher Power, Mouth Culture, The Excerpts, and a bunch of others. There's some really quite difficult bookings to get over the line in there that I just wanted to quickly touch on. So I just said to you that Neck Deep was confirmed the night before. It's tempting to think if you don't announce a band until the end of February that they weren't high up your list. But this is quite similar, if you remember, to when I booked Don Broker a couple of years ago. I inquired about Neck Deep in September, and Neck Deep didn't look like they were going to be available. And then I went around the houses trying to book bands, and it's the same thing you were saying. You make an offer, you wait 6 weeks, maybe more. It doesn't happen. You think it's going to happen, then it doesn't happen. You go back to drawing board. You've missed out on a couple of things now because you took too long, so they've gone, and you're just going back to drawing board, back to drawing board, back to drawing board. And then I start sometimes thinking, well, I'm just going to go back to some of the bands that said they weren't available, and that's what I did with Broco, and that's what I did with Neck Deep. And the answer this time was really not encouraging. It was a bit like, feel free to make an offer, but we've got some plans in place. I don't mean live plans, just career plans. Bands don't, but big bands like that.
Yeah. Sometimes you just want time
off. They
off.
might be recording.
Sometimes it's just like...
They might be having family holidays.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was unlikely. Make an offer if you want to. So I can't go into the details of the specifics of why it took so long, but there was other parties, third parties, that did not want this to happen. And I was fighting against fucking bigger people than me to try and get the deal done. The agent wanted it to happen. The band wanted to play 2000 Trees, but it took fucking ages. And I had to be really patient. And a lot of the forcing people to be quick stuff that you would normally do, like, here's my deadline, I'm pulling out if you don't confirm, yada, 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 didn't feel appropriate. So I was just sitting on that Neck Deep offer for ages. And then once a week I would check in and like nothing had happened, but they're working on it and they think it's going to happen. It was real squeaky bum time because I wasn't full of backup plans. Once you get to this point of, you're not full of your backup plans because you've been through the fucking lot of them. So I was really happy when it got over the line. Look, Neck Deep, make no mistake, they probably streaming numbers, which aren't our number one go-to thing in festivals, but streaming numbers are probably higher than any band that have ever played 2000 Trees. It's like 3 million monthly Spotify streams. They're an arena level band, of which there are few and far between that have played 2000 Trees. They are like they haven't played 2000 Trees since something like 2017. It's a great booking. I'm really happy about it. I'm really excited for it. I know the band are fucking super stoked, so it'll be cool to have them back. And another one I just want to talk about quickly is Sunny Day Real Estate. So if you don't know them, Gav, they're like a legendary band from way back. And one of the reasons the name is known is not just because they were legends, because also 2 of them were in the Foo Fighters, the original Foo Fighters band, the bassist and drummer. And still the bassist is the guy from Sunny Day Real Estate. But they're famous because of their fucking brilliant songs and brilliant albums. Now, they happen to be in the UK supporting My Chemical Romance on Trees Weekend. So do you think that is a no-brainer, right? I know the agent well. He wanted it to happen, made an offer. They turned it down. They just were like, no, we don't want to do it. And I was like, that is weird. I don't really understand that. So I just sat on it for 3 weeks. And then I was like, nah, I'm not having that. That's fucking ridiculous. They're in the fucking UK. They're literally here. So I went back and I was like, come on. I increased the offer a bit, but not anything that would get them excited. So it wasn't about money. And I was just like, come on. Surely it's a great festival. What the fuck is it? Fucking main stage, second from top. It's like a co-headline festival offer. What? And then they confirmed it. So it's just like, okay,
It's just
All right.
like, if he shows us he really wants it, then maybe.
Yeah, it's just so weird. But booking's just so fucking weird. I mean, but I think the moral of the story is never take no for an answer, because that happened to me with Don Broco. It's now happened to me with Neck Deep and Sunny Day Real Estate. No isn't no necessarily.
Yeah.
So I always go back and go, I know you said no, but it's fucking, I mean, our headliner budgets, you know, they're a lot, right?
Yeah. And
It's a lot of money for a 4-piece band.
and what's the because what you've got, Neck Deep come back and say, listen, we're just going to make this work, we're not going to be able to do it, and you are now in March of the year, now it really is squeaky bum time. Is plan Z, is that the just chuck a huge amount of money at somebody until they can't say no? Is that where you go? Is that where your budget plan goes? Or do you try and promote somebody? That's what do you do if the
No,
third headliner doesn't fall into place?
Probably not chucking money, because I don't feel that in the past that's worked that well. I mean, we chucked money at because Godspeed weren't around last year. We chucked money because, I mean, for no other reason than we had to pay for about 13 fucking flights and hotels for a few nights, and it was tens of thousands the extras on the Godspeed deal.
Yeah,
like it was over 15 grand extras on top of the fee.
Yeah,
so like I don't feel that actually that chucking money at it thing doesn't really work, because you're not suddenly going to pull out Biffy Clyro out the bag. So you're just overspending on a band that's sat in Texas or whatever.
Yeah.
To get them to get off their couch. You know, I suppose we did it a little bit with Carnival last year, which was a good booking, but it was an early booking, but I still had to convince them to leave Australia. So the backup plan for this was to fucking go again. I've got a big list of fucking big black book, and to go through it again. And, you know, the co-headliners is always an option, you know, to get someone to sit alongside Glassjaw of a similar level maybe. I'm a lot calmer about this than I used to be, because there has never been a year where I fucked it up. Do you know what I mean? It always is fine. Will it be fine? Of course we'll be fucking fine.
Yeah.
Neck Deep is a great booking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you might not, not you, but one might not be personally a big fan of Neck Deep. They're a great 2000 Trees booking. I know that. It's definitely true. So, it's always fine. You know, a couple of years ago, we had the Chats and Bob Villan co-headliner night alongside two bigger acts. So headliners are not equal. I've said this before. Headliners are not equal. Paris and Kneecap and Neck Deep, they're not the same size acts.
Yeah.
In the Chats.
Yeah, I mean, James, they're never... I mean, I know the Damnation's sort of reconstructed the way it can be built, and Napalm Death and Corrosion of Conformity would not have been anything that I would have seen in previous years. I've been headliner along bands that we'd had previously, your Opus and Dillinger's Gate Plans and Craters and these kind of bands. I'd be like, okay, but that happened, and I enjoy the fact that we can do a Damnation out and Napalm Death and Corrosion of Conformity, and we can fill the place, because it'll be the how stacked the card is, rather than just the pool of your headliners. But you get into, talk about the bands with it, like someone was saying about Rotten Christ. So there's like, oh, it'd be good if Gav had Rotten Christ to headline Damnation, and I'm like, no, I mean, I love Rotten Christ. They've played Damnation 2 or 3 times before, but like second stage somewhere. And I mean, if they played Damnation, it would be second stage, or maybe half. I mean, I don't know, somewhere up in the main stage, like I don't know, a late afternoon slot or something. But I thought that the first bit would be, oh, don't be ridiculous, Rotten Christ couldn't headline Damnation. And then you see a bunch of other people come in going, oh, that'd be a great booking, that'd be a great booking. And they're doing one in the Bloodstock shows, so they're not, we probably wouldn't be available anyway. But you're like, Rotten Christ, there's a festival, there's something called Bristol Metal Festival or something. Have you ever heard of this? And Rotten Christ are headlining, and it's probably, I don't know, a 500 cap, 600 cap room. And Rotten Christ are headlining it, and that's absolutely fine. But it's that perception you're saying of these, about Paris to the Chats to Kneecap or whatever. In some people's perception, you're just looking at it and going, well, that's a band that could headline, and maybe they do have some sort of reputation behind them, but it's the actual sales are what you would see if you were to book some of these bands that you mentioned, or if I was to book Morton Christ to headline Damnation, you'd be like, right, okay, that's you're asking a lot for that band. You're asking a lot for bands that don't have, there's no like that band's done all that much in terms of growth since the last time they played a Damnation on the second stage. So it would be a hell of a jump. But some people have just got that whole perception, and that'd be fine. They could headline. And the truth is, as a promoter say that you know, like what you're going to be in, and some bands are exciting, and I'll say to the team beforehand, like, I'm not expecting I know we're going to get wall to wall. This is fantastic. Weekend Naturals, for example, I know we're going to get wall to wall. This is fantastic, stunning booking, great booking. Can't believe this. Fucking worth the ticket price alone is always that compliment. It's kind of sort of backhanded as well. And I said to them before, there won't be a spike in sales here. There'll just be what you've went to is the 3,000 people that have bought tickets and said, here's a gem for you guys. And the 3,000 people have went, that's a fucking gem. And we're delighted in what you've repaid the faith that we done buying blind, but you're not busting that bubble. You're not going beyond those people to get an extra 100 ticket sales that day because you booked that band. And that's the reality. Well, we need to be careful sometimes about what people will love and enjoy, and then what will also help sell you extra tickets.
Absolutely. And keeping those people happy is the route to your long-term success, but you need the extra people as well. And that is always the balancing act, isn't it? And actually, thank you, Gav, because that is a lovely segue onto the next section of the podcast, which is I've curated, handpicked, if you will, some Gav recommendations. And when I was prepping earlier on, sorry I gave you so little notice on this, but
thanks, you.
I was thinking, well, this lineup is really strong in depth, and it appeals to many different types of people. So you shouldn't look at any festival lineup, particularly not 2000 Trees, and just go, there's my 3 headliners. This is whether I'm going to like it or not. I know it is strong in depth. So I was like, can I, in 5 minutes, curate Gav 4 or 5 bands that he might like? I'm not expecting you to say you like them all, by the way, so don't feel pressured. So I flicked through it, picked them up, send them over to you, and here we are. So, have you listened to them?
Yes. I think you've always said before.
Yeah, no, I did only send you 4.
Thank fuck, because you gave me like 45 minutes to listen to the whole 4. So, I mean, this was not an in-depth thing. Will we start with DOS?
Yeah, let's start with DOS. So DOS are from Glasgow. And also that guy, Joe, your mate, sent me a photo of him wearing a DOS t-shirt. So he must be a DOS fan, I'm guessing.
I don't know how that came about. But yes, when you mentioned DOS, he was like, oh, this band. And yes, they are fucking, mate, they're battered Mars bar from Glasgow. I mean, it's like I'm watching the 2 tracks. I talk about the gentrification of Denniston and Govan, and just with people coming in with their mullets and you all sort of. I mean, is this Scotland's kneecap? It sounds like Scotland's kneecap.
Well, yeah, I thought it might appeal to the Meryl Streep fan in you, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I like, and then also, I mean, you're gonna when you've got. I love the lyrical content and stuff. I mean, the guys singing about the places where I go for dinner or out. And I mean, where my pals come from, or where I went and had fucking gang fights when I was younger. So it's a bit like, it's brilliant. I mean, I've heard 2 or 3 tracks at most, and I was like, all in and that. Definitely checking them out further. In fact, when I come off this podcast, I'm going to listen to some DOS. Although I kind of got the impression from when I was, did they have an album out yet, or it just seemed like a series of singles?
Do you know what? I don't know.
Oh, good. Well, you've done your play.
They're small bands. They're a new band, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's no album yet.
Aye. Well, I really enjoyed what I heard. The first track was about basically buying upper housing schemes and putting fucking coffee shops in them, and the second track escapes me, but that was just as fucking potent for a Glaswegian. So I will chuff with them. Definitely be watching them 100%. Unless you've got unless you've got doing the podcast at the same time, I will be checking out DOS.
Great, that is a tick. Lovely. So I mean, and they count as a band where an agent has gone to me, or possibly a record label. Ooh. Basically, I'm just going to quickly check, but they well, someone has sent them to me and said, you should really check this out. It will work really, really well at 2000 Trees. And then I've gone, fucking hell, this is like perfect. This is exactly what I want to book. And the next band we're going to talk about, I'm just looking what their label is. No, don't know. Sorry. I think it's a booking agent sent them to me. So the next band is called Bleach 93. Now, this was literally an agent that I don't work with that much, but is a big agent, sent me this band and was like, I think this would work perfectly at 2000 Trees. And he caught me on the right day where I was listening to loads of bands. And this was on a podcast a few weeks ago where I was saying to you how I'd discovered some brilliant new bands for 2000 Trees, and I just thought, fuck it, I don't know anything about them. I'm just going to book it. And this is like an indie version of Deftones. They're like, I don't know how you describe this. They're kind of an indie band, but it's definitely got shoegaze and rock and arty, Deftonesy feel to it.
Yeah, it does have that artiness for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I was just... Go on.
I've got about a one song that I heard, and it was like, this is the band you see at Outbreak. This is the band that you show up at Outbreak expecting people swinging fists and jumping off the stage, and then suddenly you get this arty shoegaze indie band that for some reason just works at Outbreak.
Yes, absolutely. Great description, Gav. So they're in the cave at 2000 Trees. Let's go and swing our fist to it. I think they are fucking brilliant, and I think it's gonna go off for them.
Okay, 2 out of 2 so far.
That's Bleach 93.
2 out of 2.
Okay, next one is Truck Violence. So Truck Violence is basically chat pile but gone hardcore. I thought I thought this might be right up your street. I don't know. I think it's unlikely I'm going to get 4 from 4 here. So.
Well, this one I got the chat pile, noise rock basically, and like chat pile seems to be the new holding place card holder for anything that's noise rock. Sounds like chat pile.
Talking noise rock, yeah.
Sounds like chat pile. So this again, it sounded angryish. I'm not going to commit to this because it was such a passing, it was such a fleeting one song, that enough time that I got a chance to listen to your final band. So I'm going to, let's say, likely, but let's go still put that one on hold.
Okay, good. And the final one is Dead Pioneers, who are really blowing up at the moment. They've just upgraded their venue in Bristol, sold out the next one, I think. And it's like an American Indian, I hope I don't get this wrong because this could...
This is not the band that you get this wrong, mate, because the two,
no.
One's called Nazi's Teeth and another one's about, so get it right, mate.
So at some point I thought, wait a minute, I don't need notes for this. It's kind of spoken word by about like the sort of spoken word done by an American Indian guy and talking about the causes that are close to his heart. It's really fucking visceral and like emotional, but with amazing music backing it up. I think they're fucking one-off. Well, also you could have some crossover with Chatpile.
Yeah. I mean, this one, because you're totally right that he's the opening gambit at first, but it's Bad Indian is the name of the track, and it is him basically saying, I'm not seen as Indian enough for Native Americans, but I'm too Indian for you racist bastard Americans. And then him sort of tussling with his life, his experience of growing up in it. that goes for that to a less subtle Nazi teeth when he's basically talking about knocking the teeth out of Nazis. So it's angry. I mean, your Meryl Streep sort of vibe, punky, spoken word. You get the message very, very quickly. And Dead Pioneers is weird because that was the name that I recognised. So I've heard people talk about Dead Pioneers, and I like to think that the guy's wearing a Dead Guy t-shirt. I don't think it's a Dead Guy t-shirt, and behind the main singer probably is Dead Pioneers. He's wearing his own merch, Gavin McInally style. But I'd like that to be in a Dead Guy t-shirt behind there too. So yes, I mean definitely 3 out of 4 caught me straight away. I need to go back to the 4th one because at 4 minutes of, I mean, I'm not allowed to get a Converge album review at you unless you've got 2 weeks, and I'm allowed 4 minutes to a song before I make a fucking judgment. So I would happily check it all 4 at 3s.
Mate, 10 out of 10 for effort there. Fucking brilliant. You watched an episode of the Primus documentary and listen to the 4 bands with only about an hour and a half's notice. So that's fucking great. And the point I was trying to prove, really, is that you can't understand the 2000 Trees lineup until you actually go and fucking listen to it, because that is not what you would assume that 2000 Trees sounds like, that stuff. Maybe DOS is the closest, but I just think that there's a lot to be discovered for all different music types. And there's an incredible set of artists beneath those bigger names. But look, just to go talk about some bigger names, just quickly, my personal highlights, the things that I am fucking dying to see this summer. Pup on the Wednesday will be a game changer. I think it'll be incredible. Arcane Roots are playing twice. Fuck me. I just cannot wait. Glasgow are finally at 2000 Trees. The Dirty Nil are playing twice, and they're the best band in the world. House of Protection, I nearly sent you House of Protection as the 5th choice, but I thought it might be a bit too, I don't know. So I don't know if you'd like it, but go and have a listen to House of Protection. They are going to be fucking crazy. They're playing on the main stage. It's going to be wild. I feel like we might be in for some climbing and other such activities, if Rob Safety's listening. And finally, in the Forest on Saturday, just a personal thing for me, is Bat Sabbath and A. I mean, I literally moved A so that I could watch them and they didn't clash with someone that I wanted to see, because I want to go into the Forest and put my 1998 fucking James head on and sing every word back at them. So, yeah, I'm super stoked for that. And one thing we haven't paid a lot of attention to this year is the Silent Disco live sets. So just to tell people that on Wednesday it's Thrill Collins, Thursday it's Haggard Cat, Friday it's Battlesnake, and Saturday it's Froze Mode. Haggard Cat took some serious convincing. I've been trying for years to get them to do it. I still don't think they're convinced, but they got bored of me asking. Just kept asking until they said yes. So Haggard Cat, Thursday night, after the headline, after Alkaline Trio finish on the main stage, we're all going to go to the Forest and pack the Haggard Cat Headphone Disco live set.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, like, for last year's lineup to this year's, there was more, I mean, Kneecap especially, there was more bands. When was Manchester Rock Show last year or the year before?
Year before.
Right, so I mean, in the last couple of years, there's been ones where they're like, that's the kind of bands that I leave the house for to go and see their gigs, Glasgow. This has much less of that, but there's something about that that's quite exciting as well, because there is a lot of bands and a lot of bands I just hear tons about but never really go and investigate that much. High Vis, Marmozets, Sunny Day Real Estate, a band I've just heard lots of people talk about for fucking previously decades. Alkaline Trio even, Super Heaven. There's a lot of bands on there that I'll be like, never mind these smaller bands where I'm going to get cracking new stuff to listen to. But lots of stuff like, right, okay, that's great, let's go and check out these bands. It looks good, mate. It looks good. Trees is not a festival that's aimed at me at all. It's of the 3 events we do, it's the least Gavin McAnally. But something I really enjoyed about that. There's sometimes at tangent is fucking exhausting. Sometimes you're just burnt out and you want you don't that fucking band to band to band to band to clashing bands to band to band. Sometimes you just want to be like, can I wander into a tent and just catch a couple of new stuff that I like 20 minutes of, and I thought that's good. I mean, I've done tons of that at fucking Trees last year. Catching bands that I thought, oh, this is fantastic, and no pressure to get there, or I'll stop between tents with a beer or a cider and enjoy whatever I come across. So I'm looking forward to that this year. It looks excellent, mate.
Good, thanks, mate. And there'll be announcements coming on comedy, food, best boxes, kids stuff, and the Clash Finder. So I think you'll have Clash Finders for both festivals in the next month. They're done, so they'll be coming your way soon. And just a final note on Trees. So the spectacular nature of the ATG sales this year has somewhat overshadowed the Trees messages on the pod, I think. But like, we are quietly, look me in the eye, Gav. This is not a sales pitch. This is the
Give me the chat.
Trees is quietly having its best ever year. The sales are the highest they've ever been. And weirdly, it doesn't feel like some big buzz to us, because ATG is just like ridiculous. Like every week ATG sales look more stupid than the last. But Trees is fucking on fire, just not the same level of fire. 4-day tickets are long gone. There's 100 VIP, or less than 100 VIP tickets left, I think. So if you want to come, get your fucking tickets. And here's another reason to get your tickets, 2000 Trees. 2 promoters, 1 pod live on the new Word stage, Saturday afternoon, assuming Scotland aren't in the World Cup final. I think it'll be the quarters by then. There's a chance.
There's a fucking chance, mate. There's a chance.
Mate. And we're going to go big. And we've got a secret special guest booked for the Trees live pod, which I guess we're going to keep to ourselves, are we?
Well, fuck it. Let's keep it to ourselves. So that's okay, good. So that's the word then. Because I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but you said the UK stage at Alexandria's getting bigger. And I just went, okay, like, well, let's go into a stage that we know for a fact that we can't fill, just so everyone can be comfortable, and our egos will take a dent, but everyone's comfort will be greatly improved and everything get it did. And now you've just made that tent bigger.
Yeah. Well, you wanted to go in the bigger tent. It wasn't me. Oh, have I told you we are doing the Silent Disco this year on the headphones? Sorry. That whole sentence was bollocks. Just pretend. Let me start it again. Have I told you that we are doing the podcast this year through the headphones? So for those people that were on the edges of the tent and maybe couldn't hear that well, you can wear your headphones. You could even sit in your tent listening to us.
Do not do that. Listen, I'm glad for Andy. There will be no need for that whatsoever. You people come in the tent, please don't have us go out to this fucking 5,000 capacity and have 4 people in the middle, because that's just going to put the end. That will be the end of this podcast. I mean,
that'll be fun.
I can take some dents, but the idea of half the people lining the fucking, that'd be terrible. Come to that set. I'm begging you. I'm fucking begging you. So, aye, that's mildly terrifying. I suppose we better pull together some sort of plan for these shows.
Yeah, about 3 hours before we do it, no doubt.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Okay.
I was playing, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I was playing tennis yesterday, and they play music when we're playing tennis, right? And fucking that Red Hot Chili Peppers song came on. And I couldn't work out for a second why my adrenaline went through the roof. And I was just like pumped. And I was like, oh, I know how. It's because it's the pod intro. It's because it's the pod intro music, and I only hear that when we're about to walk up some very scary steps.
There's nothing that's more adrenaline inducing than the start of that fucking Red Hot Chili Peppers. Just before you know, Julie Christmas is going to belt at Gavin James. So,
yeah,
okay, mate, you're getting me worked up for it. And talking about the pod, I mean, you seem to slowly but surely be getting yourself worked into a tiz about getting out and touring again. And who knows, mate? I could maybe get there with you, know what I mean? It's like...
Mate, well, I'm waiting for you now. I feel like it's, you know, when you've asked the girl on a date 3 times and she hasn't taken you up on it, you've just got to wait to see if she'll ask you, haven't you now?
Well, here's the thing now. Kev was... I don't know if we want to go into the big scary monsters thing and what Kev was off on. We'll maybe do that in a future episode. But there's definitely things that could be happening in terms of extra, I don't know, gifts, prizes, whatever the way you want to call it, for people who support this podcast. And when it comes to the tour, I'm a bit like that myself, or any studio time we could get, like, the support to this podcast would make all of that so much more manageable. Like, if you could go out and get, I don't know, that there was a splitter van with the beds in it or whatever, if you could go out and do that and make the tour less, I don't know, it breaks me the way that we act when we're out there, it would be more enticing to go out them for more than 1 or 2 days at a time. And if we've got the support to do that, I would be delighted. I would be...
Mate, come on.
No.
When you went to bed at 5 a.m. in fucking Cardiff, the reason you were broken wasn't the lack of a tour, was it? Or the lack of a bed, or the lack of anything. A good night's sleep and some water is what you need.
I'm trying to tell myself that I can make things better, and definitely having some sort of mode of transport that gets me in the next city would definitely help me with that.
Okay.
So, what is this? Episode 110, James. Episode 110. You've listened to this for 2 years now, and you don't support it in any fashion, James? What's your plea to these people? Because it does make a difference. I do want to get studio time. I do have merch ideas that I want to come up with. We do have stuff that I'd love. No, what I'd love? I'd love to pay someone to help us with the social media. I'd love somebody that, poor Shifty just had that lump on him. I'd like somebody that does all that shit and pushes the podcast. There's just 110 episodes in. There's a bunch of stuff I would like to add to this that could really do with that additional bit of support to push it in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're putting a lot of time into it. I wrote the plan for this on Sunday night. You told me you wanted to change it last night. So I spent this morning rewriting it and then prepping, because we weren't going to do it. It wasn't going to be about trees in the same, just to peek behind the curtain. We changed the plan at the last minute. So it's now 2 p.m. and the only thing I've done by way of work today is podcast related. Now, it's better than fucking being an auditor. I'm not complaining, but it'd be nice to be supported by people that have listened to 2 years worth of free.
Yes, and if you really want to peek behind the curtain, we recorded the first 5 minutes, and then James's window cleaner chapped in his window, and it all became a shit show. And we had to actually re-record the start of the intro as well, which is something we don't often do. So I don't know why I came into that with the whole Kevin Big Scary Monster. Like, basically, the point I'm making is they've got a jug of joy here. We do have people that come that support the pod and then maybe cancel after their name's taken for the jug of joy. To try and combat that and not to put anything behind the paywall, there's going to be a second jug of joy, a forever jug of joy, and there will be names that never come out. That basically you're in there again if you've ever been picked out the jug of joy. There will be, when we pick stuff out, it might be prizes that I don't know, sponsors have given us, or tickets to our festivals, or tickets to the pod, or I don't know, whatever we can come up with. There's more we want to offer because the support means a lot, and we understand we're not putting anything behind the paywall, so there's nothing pushing you to go and sign up to the Patreon, or even better, put the money direct into the bank account, so there's no VAT or the taxes or 20% platform fees. So very long-winded way, but it's something I'm never very comfortable with. The support means a lot when we're doing this, and if you can chip in a few quid a month to support the pod, we would fucking massively appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Someone who has supported us forever is your man Lou's Brews, and I'm fucking excited about this because he's got all these new ones that I've not had my lips around yet. Like he's got the 25 Big Scary Monsters, 25 years, but he's got 25 years hot sauce, Kong's Green Buffalo, Don't Go Baking My Heart. I'm just looking at them on the internet, touching the screen like, come on, when's it happening? When is it happening? Because it's fucking... I'm rinsing the sausages at the minute. I'm going through bottle after bottle. The family are rinsing the stocks. The one in the Lou, which is sadly sold out, is almost done. And that hot honey one is one of his absolute best. So get yourselves on there. Restock. Get the new ones there. And a few old favourites that you still get stocked. V-Rev, Smoky Maple, Aged Garlic Sriracha. And let's get behind my campaign to get one of the Lou stocked.
I like the garlic sriracha. That's a good one. But the Winnie the Lou, yeah, let's get restocked on that because I'm nearly out as well. So, yeah.
His problem is Winnie the Lou one is he has to get this imported special honey for somewhere that I think one's costs a fortune and it's a bit of a pain in the arse, I take it, to get. So when people inquire about that one, he tends to go, it'll be a wee while. But I remember him having the same reluctance to restock his black garlic and truffle one, and that get restocked. So come on, people power. Lou will do whatever he's fucking told, basically. He just needs enough people who say they're going to order the Winnie the Lou, and the Winnie the Lou will get redone. So get on his case, buy as much of his shit as available now. Let's get behind the campaign to get a new Winnie the Lou. And Lou, I am looking forward to seeing these, or trying these new sauces. I feel like I'm behind the curve now. There's people out there that have tried these sauces I haven't, and I can't shout about them if I haven't tried them. Pod 15 at the checkout.
Good stuff. Thanks for your support, Lou. We do appreciate it, mate.
I'm at an hour and 20 minutes. That's not too bad. Good time for a couple of questions.
Yeah, let's do it, mate. There's a burning issue that lots of people have asked about. So
I've been talking forever. You tell us Christopher Kelly's question about Primus.
Okay, he says it would be interesting to hear more about the Primus deal within whatever parameters James can discuss. I think we were all under the impression it was a UK exclusive and quite shocked at the tour announcement. I'm just curious to peel back the curtain a bit on the specifics of that one.
Well, quickly, I mean, that is You think about it, the amount of times that headline bands get announced for shows and then tours. I mean, any bands that book for a festival and then tours, it's more often than not the case. And it's happened sometimes with headliners as well. I think Slaughter to Prevail, who are headlining Bloodstock, have just been announced for a Glasgow show in the last few days that my good friend Johnny Almond's putting on. So it's not like, I wasn't that surprised, but it seemed to be the messaging from Arctangent that like you sold it as an exclusive show.
No.
No, I never said. I mean, definitely. I never. What I'm saying is this one booking seemed to be. There was a lot of shock that there was these Manchester and Glasgow shows appeared.
Yeah, but I don't know why that is really. I mean, if someone can tell me where me or Arctangent said that, I'd be amazed, because we're very careful with stuff like that. We know the deal is done, and it's written in emails. We know what the deal is. We're very careful about, this is a festival exclusive, this is an actual UK exclusive, whatever. And to be honest, with a lot of bands, so this isn't specific to Primus, but with a lot of bands that are headlining the festivals, you can't afford to have an exclusive. So it might be, let's say Wardruna. It may be that Wardruna at that time were doing a European festival tour, and they had no interest in doing shows. So they were just dotting from festival to festival. And therefore, you get a UK exclusive without ever really asking for it and not really having to pay for it. But if you're basically saying to Primus, come to the UK, or Alkaline Trio, come to the UK, or those bands aren't coming for one-off shows at the money I'm paying. It's not happening. So that there is often tours attached to it. But if I get in a situation, my plan is always to be like, well, I must be paying the most, because if Band X are playing for 20 quid a ticket in Manchester's 2,000 cap venue, you can do some very quick maths and know what the total ticket revenue of this show is this much. So roughly the band will walk out with this much. So I know I'm paying the most for that band by some distance. They're playing. It's not about Primus. This is just general, but it relates also to Primus. You know, if you're playing Arctangent, London, Manchester, I can very easily see that my 80 grand, which is not the fee that I'm paying Primus, but my 80 grand is more than those fees. So I get to go first. And if you don't like it, then let's not do a deal. So the deal is I go first. I go 2 or 3 months is what I would always push for. Now, I think your model might be slightly different, Gav, where you would prefer to really have the exclusive. But for me, if you're at a Primus level band, you can forget it. Yeah. Because you're not getting the exclusive, because it's going to cost you way more than you can afford. So you don't need to do it. Now, am I going to, when I announce a band, do you think let's peek behind the curtain again now. This is being honest and saying something we've never said before. But do you think I'm going to go, hey guys, we're just announcing Primus. In a couple of months' time, there'll be some UK tour dates, which I'm not involved with, coming. Of course you're fucking not. But I'm 100% not saying Primus is exclusive. And if I did, please call me out on it, but I'm certain I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why that isn't more of a... The reason it says UK exclusive with the bands that are UK exclusive, because that's the festival telling you this will not happen elsewhere. And if you get festivals that ever use that term and it turns out it's not, then call them out on it. It doesn't. I don't have any examples where I've seen festivals saying it's UK exclusive and then full tours get announced around about it. So it's not a practice that's common. And if it does happen, you might have found, if you're behind the scenes, something might have changed, and maybe that festival had to get its fee reduced because another all fucking man for London, and it made more sense and lost another festival, and a million reasons that could happen. But read between the lines. Like when we say Walls of Jericho are coming across to play UK exclusive shows, because the only place you'll see Walls of Jericho as at Damnation, but when we announce I Hate God at the exact same time and we don't say it's a UK exclusive show, we're not going to tell you. In fact, in a lot of cases we don't even know ourselves. We just know it's part of a tour, and we've said, right, okay, can we announce first? And we've agreed to announce first, potentially paid more than what the local shows are, which is often the case anyway, regardless. You're always, you get situations where a band's coming and they're touring, and you make an offer for the tour that's slightly better, and the agent just goes back and says, we're getting that in tour. And you're like, I know, but like, so you're getting 12 grand to play Manchester, you're getting 12 grand to play Newcastle, you're getting 12 grand to play Cardiff, 12 grand to play, and then maybe 15 grand to play London night. And I'm offering you 16 grand. And they're like, we're not playing a festival for 16 grand. I'm like, why? Why? I don't like, it's just your Manchester date on your tour. But it's a Manchester date on your tour that you're going to play to ×5, ×6 the amount of people. You're going to get all the merch revenue with us taking it. You're going to get all the press there. It makes no, you've just got this as if I'm asking you to fly in for brutal assault and do nothing else in Europe. It's like, so you're going to go and do Manchester in a smaller venue for 12 grand instead of Damnation for 16 grand because you expect to get 25 because the festival, because that's what you got the last time you done fucking Vakin. It makes no sense, but it just is like, no, absolutely, you're crazy. Why on earth would we play a festival show as if I'm going to be running around the rest of the festival's got, by the way, this package you can now get, it'll be 12 grand, and it's like, some of it's just wild. Absolutely fucking wild.
Yeah, it really is. And the other thing is, festivals putting UK exclusive festival on their poster, which I just think is fucking stupid, because what that actually says is the tour is coming. So it's like advertising that it's not an exclusive, rather than it's doing the opposite of what it's trying to do.
Festival exclusive, because that's you saying that because what will happen often is you said with Wardruna is a lot of times, like here's the Haunted, for example, last year. I offered exclusive money for the Haunted, and the Haunted didn't take the exclusive money because they didn't want their plans tied up. They wanted to see what they wanted to do. They weren't going to get tied into any deal with Damnation that was going to prohibit them from doing more in the UK. Now, by default, I got the Haunted exclusive show. It was never advertised as that. It was never on a poster as that. It was never even by the final week we wanted to call it a UK exclusive show, because that's not the deal we had. And if they decided to rock up the night before and play Oxford because it suited them, they could have. But sometimes you get that, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get an outset and the I Hate God thing. Next, there's all the tour dates for I Hate God. But as soon as you put I Hate God festival exclusive, I mean, if you know anything about it at all, you're like, well, I'm just waiting for the London date. Because I know for a fact there's no way they're not playing London in their tour. And you're not going to put festival exclusive on the poster unless they're touring.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a bit of a weird one, that. But yeah, and the other thing that's in all my deals is, if I know the band's going to do some shows, you need to get a reasonable radius clause away from you. So I try and say Manchester and London is the closest you can come. So you wouldn't do Bristol or Birmingham or any of the other cities south of Manchester. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I hope I'm not going to regret this, and I did say it was an exclusive, but I'm sure that's not the case.
I'm sure you'd have been already rinsed for that. It was does that also answers Daniel Hayes' follow-up, doesn't it?
No.
Okay, well, there seems to be a lot of people buying tickets for ATG solely for Primus. What is the strategy regarding timings of announcements and exclusivity, knowing that a tour or other UK dates was coming?
I mean, so I suppose it partly answers it, but the reason I wanted this in is because I think there's this total misconception which I would like to address, that Arctangent's having a brilliant year of sales because of Primus, because the data tells me that isn't true, because I think ATG is flying largely because we've got a great brand and we've had consistent years of good weather. And so we already had the great brand, but now people are not getting fucking annihilated by the weather. And suddenly it's just like that. Everyone's just like, you're putting on my favourite. It's like you came into my brain and found the bands that are nowhere else, and you're putting on my favourite festival. And I know that's me bigging us up, but that's why people are coming. And straight out of the gates this year, our sales, we had record ticket sales straight out of the gates. They continued to be record ticket sales when we did our first announcement, which had 0 headliners in it and no Primus. So what's the best booking I've made this year? Primus. Is it one of the best bookings I've ever done? 100% yes. But I think the majority of the uplift we're seeing this year at ATG is in weekend tickets, and a big chunk of it had happened before we'd even announced Primus. And still, when we announced we did the other day with Tony Danza and that announcement, And the graph went like that again, and I was just like, just laughing at it, being like, it can't be real. So it's not just all Primus, but I will give you this, Daniel, and it's a fact of the week. The most day tickets we've ever done at Arctangent is 1,400, and that was from a shugger a couple of years back. And we will sell out this year of the Primus day tickets at 2,000. So not wanting to disagree with myself right at the end there, but the day tickets are going to be the highest they've ever been.
Yeah, Arctangent's on a run. The weather's been great. That helps because it's just the experience you leave from it, and no festival can you can't fight it because it's just it's in your soul, as you say. If you've been annihilated at Arctangent, which I have, you just don't leave with the same buzz. There isn't that same sort of spirit of let's get our tickets straight away and go back to it. You actually need to go back and recover mentally and physically before you can even face either again back to an Arctangent again. And what can you do about that? Fucking nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can't stop the wind. You can't stop the rain. So I do think that consecutive years of good weather that lead to good experiences means that people want to come back. And then, as everyone's saying, and as you're confirming, having Primus on the bill, biggest day sales that you'll ever do in 12 years, 13 years, whatever it is. It's been a wonderful, wonderful booking. So it's not a Q&A, I'll do one more and then we'll get on the records and up the road. Callum Reid, did the folk behind Core Festival give Gav a heads up about a plan for 2026? Obviously it's weekend after Damnation with a couple of bands from Damnation on the bill. I did see that Gav was very positive about the Sunday lineup on the Damnation forum. Yes, is the answer. I don't know who gave me the heads up first, but I was told that it was happening at my end of the year. I mean, obviously we've had the chat about Core, and for those who don't know, here's a quick recap. They had a year where they went the same weekend as Arctangent. A lot of the Arctangent bands that James had paid for to bring over ended up on the Core lineup. We bit of disagreement with James. They tried a couple of years or 2 or 3 years after that, but it was like the weekend after or the month after, and I'm not sure they sold as well as they would have hoped for. I was at the last Core that happened. It was good. It was a well organised thing, but it was pretty sparse by the time Cave In were on. It was a pretty sparse, and I think they're trying a new approach. So I was told they were going to go on our weekend, which was going to be an issue for me because that's in direct competition to Damnation, and I wouldn't have been as positive as I am about it just now. I would have taken the approach that if you were playing Damnation, you couldn't play Core. I would have done that because it would have been deliberately to go on my weekend and take sales from me at Glasgow. Now, that might still be the version of what they're doing, might still take some sales for that Damnation, but that's just the way the world works. I mean, at the end of the day, they've got I Hate God and Awake, the I Hate God and Wake package. So there is some, but that tour was always hitting Glasgow. I mean, last year, Amun Ra, Perturbator, Orbit Culture, High and Fire, all those shows were doing Glasgow anyway. So for me, get my knickers in a twist about the fact that there's one of these tours are going to be at Core the following weekend. I'm looking at it very much through my fan glasses, which is how I looked at the Sunday, which I think's got Pig Destroyer, Wormrot, and I Hate God in it. Is I want to go to that. I'll be in full party mode. I'm looking for a reason to celebrate, going to Core and watching these fantastic bands. Great. If they cleverly booked Pig Destroyer and Wormrot because they knew for a fact I wouldn't, then well done them, because they knew I was never rebooking bands for the year before. So well done them. If that's been pure coincidence, then fair play. It's the Sunday is a great bill. I can't remember I think it's like 2.5 nights. I don't remember the Saturday lineup, but the Sunday lineup for me is right up my street. I'm looking forward to doing it. As long as it's not the weekend of Damnation or isn't it, I don't start hearing about clauses and contracts and shit like that. But it'll change, because at the minute I'm trying to sell 6,000 per day, 12,000 tickets over 2 days for Damnation, with the top 10 bands in Damnation. I mean, if one of them is I Hate God, then fair play, but there'll be no crossover really to what's happening with Core. So they're maybe just looking at having a stab at it at a different end of the year. And if it's something that I can get on board with and go along and enjoy, then fuck it, fair play. If I find that that's not that well intentioned and it's not done with good faith, then I will change the process of my work. But so far so good, and I'm looking at it in a very good faith manner.
Very good of you, mate. You are the bigger You're the bigger pod host.
I am the bigger man. So, aye, that's about that. Did you, with the whole core situation, I take it after that first year for you, it wasn't an issue because it'd been addressed and you weren't going forward with that sort of, I know it wasn't a fight, but that sort of conflict that was there for the first year.
Yeah, but I do hear it left a bad taste in the mouth, which hasn't changed really. And I do every so often hear they seem to do this thing where they've danced around the calendar. I can't really understand it. It feels like that it's not a coincidence that they're the week after Damnation, is it?
I don't know.
I mean,
they're
not trying to compete with you. They're trying to piggyback somewhat, I think. I don't know.
Or find a sweet spot. I mean, maybe it's they have danced around the calendar, and I take it's to try and find something that's going to be financially viable for them, because you can't go on forever with not doing the numbers you need to do. So maybe this year is the year that they thought, okay, we'll maybe get out that competition of the summer, because it's a streamation there. There's a lot going on. Now, there's bands available, but you're also, everyone's attention everywhere, and they maybe look to say, well, Damnation's clearly done something right to be this successful, so maybe they'll give it a bash. It's in Glasgow. It's for me, it's a bit like, as long as there's no, I'm a big fan at the end of the day, James. What can I say? I just love.
Just a nice guy.
I'm just a nice guy.
You know, when I originally kicked off about Court, was that on Damnation Versus?
No, because that was.
It's on this.
It was on this. Aye.
Weird. Feels like fucking forever ago.
It must have been fairly early, because fuck, I mean, we've been doing this for a couple of years now, James, so it's a bit it catches up with you. I saw merch. This absolute belter of a Radiohead t-shirt I got from ISO merch last week. I previously bought it for ISO merch in medium, but I've been hitting the gym a bit and I needed a large, so I got it again. I'm fucking delighted with it. I also bought my brother, who I hope doesn't watch this or listen to this podcast, a couple of brand spanking Sleep Token t-shirts for his birthday from ISO merch. If you're a Sleep Token fan, honestly, the range is the range is incredible. There's like 5 pages of 20 items per page of Sleep Token merch, all utterly incredible. I'm not the biggest Sleep Token fan in the world. I wouldn't wear a Sleep Token t-shirt, but I wish I did, because it's all incredible. Every fucking colour you could hope for, every design you could hope for, all very fairly priced. Go and get yourself that merch. I mean, right now you should be thinking, if you're watching that, I need that Radiohead t-shirt, Gav. So go and get yourself this Radiohead t-shirt. Last week I'd mentioned about I'd done the ISIS represses in vinyl. My mate Andy went and picked up a couple of them. If Sleep Token isn't your thing, but vinyl is, they seem to have had a death metal drop. There's like 10 Cannibal Corpse records on there now. They've got some Bloodbath records on there. They've got Behemoth records on there. So as usual, every time you check out ISO merch, there's something fresh and on the go. Stores for everyone, from Architects to Cradle of Filth. Sleep Token ones, a cracker, Oasis. Go and get yourself good quality merch for much less than you'll find it anywhere else on the fucking internet, or especially on tour with these bands. And use pod 10 at the checkout to get 10% off.
Good. Well, I need to stock up on some summer festival t-shirts, so I will be having a look this week. Okay.
On the record.
Yeah, the band is Bleach 9-3. We discussed them earlier, so I won't go through it all again. The song is Ceiling. They're heavy, dark, and brilliant indie band, playing 2000 Trees this summer in the cave. Me and Gav will be there with a pint in hand, so let's all get down and watch them. Check the song out. I think they're cool as fuck, so yeah.
Excellent. I am going to investigate them further along with the other ones you sent me today. So I mean, I'm in a real new music buzz at the minute. I've got a couple of bands I might want to talk about next week. One that Frode fired up to me, sort of like blackened metal with a Julie Christmas style band that I'm really want to investigate, and another one that was fantastic. So at the minute, all I'm listening to is new music, new bands, new music all the time. It's pretty refreshing. So well up for that. One of these new bands that I mentioned earlier on, is Machuca. Now, Trimatis, so that's TRYMATYS apostrophe. I assume that means something in Ukrainian. Machuka actually means stepmother in Ukrainian. If you follow their page, they call themselves Machuka Stepmother. And this is the opening track for the record. It's a 3-minute kicking, absolutely fucking relentless. You will know if you like this band within the time it takes to end this track. DB Amun-Ra is about as close as you're going to get. It does have that frenetic sort of punk rock hardcore energy, but the intensity of Amun-Ra. On their site, it says that this is a quote from them: the debut album Mokari invokes resilience and the human ability to endure atrocities. Sung exclusively in our native Ukrainian language, Natalia uses her voice as an outlet for genuine anguish, and that could sum up far better than I ever could. It's unreal. Go and give this band some support. They will be at Damnation later this year. Check them out. Don't be one of the guys that finds out several months after you had the chance to see them play that, oh fuck, they're actually as good as Gav said they were. So go and check that band out, give them some support. And let's delve into some new music that we've not been listening to yet. So good wee pod there. Glad we could shine some, show some love to Trees and get a bit of excitement building that one, because that's the first one to come up. Once you're in there, you know you're in full swing.
It's coming, mate. Once me and you get back from our April holidays, we will be fucking ready.
In full swing for it.
The summer.
In full swing for it.
World Cup, and then some festivals. Yes.
And is our guest next week Neil from Biffy Clyro's tour manager?
Yeah, do you know what? I was just about to announce that, and then I thought, there is a chance it won't come out next week, just because we've got to save something for when we're away. But yeah, probably next week.
Okay. Well,
we're certainly talking to him next week, aren't we? So
I look forward to that chat with him. As usual, James will probably put something up on the group just to say if you've got any specific questions for Neil, who is Biffy Clyro's tour manager, then please let us know in a separate thread. And likewise, whenever you get questions where we get these ones in front of us, stick it in that thread too. We can pick them up from Instagram or YouTube or wherever, or Patreon, but it's easier for us to get a grasp of them in the one thread on Facebook.
Absolutely. You didn't pick a jug of joy this week.
Oh shit, mate. Fine, 2 years it took you to finally have my back with this thing. It is Ross Dalladay. Thanks to James, you are this week's super sub. I hope people will be listening all the way to the end to get that.
And I'll tell you why I suddenly thought of that. And that is because we have a new email address. It's subs, SUBS, at 2promotersonepod.co.uk. This is the only way you get your... this is the only way you get to have your thing now. Your email, subs at 2promotersonepod.co.uk.
Subs
so we can stop the chaos.
Okay. So the two promoters...
I literally just posted my signed copy of Metal Hammer to Chris Kelly, and I'm about 2 weeks late on that.
Is two promoters written like TWO or 2 is the number?
No. So it's subs at 2 the number, promoters 1 the number, pod.co.uk.
Okay, and that's how you get through. I mean, I'll still take your messages whenever they come, but let's try and get into some sort of formality with it.
Classic.
I'm just that kind of helpful guy. And Jamesy boy, I will see you next week.
Thanks, mate. See you then.